I'm passing this out, so will you guys look at this and pass it on? This is my business before, so I did marketing for 22 years. I owned a business called Anglers, and I don't know whether any of you have ever heard of the SHOT Show. I go to 5 SHOT shows every year. That's shooting, hunting, outdoor trade shows. And you can see from what I'm sending around, I started with the Angler's Calendar, which is a fly fishing calendar, and then I went to other things. So feel free to pass them around, and then I'm going to show you what my normal booth looks like. Now granted, this is probably 6 feet. I normally don't have that. I probably have about this much. So I just crowded in, don't have quite so many things. And Cheryl told me about this. I can't do it outdoors because the wind catches it, but it's certainly good for indoors. And I think that cost $100, and I don't know the company, but it's a great eye catcher. All of this is brought in on this. This costs about $50. And then when I mentioned, everyone should have one of these on the table. And then this is kind of your little cheat sheet before you leave to go through and make sure you have everything. But I mentioned plastic containers, and that's because if you're at a 2-day event, you want to put your books in this because they're on the ground. And books, if you put them in a cardboard box, they'll get ruined. And then you can see this is my setup. I just have a sheet, but other people, I was just hearing, there's now a new thing to put on tables that actually is like an expandable. But whatever you do, you want to make sure it goes right to the ground because you have all your junk underneath here that you don't want people to see. Another thing I have is you want things to be eye-catching. And so I don't want blues together. I want them separated. Same as my yellows separated. So again, eye-catching. Your clothes should be eye-catching also. You don't want to be drab, brown, gray, whatever. What else? Oh, I have here a price. Normally this is back a little bit. I don't have this quite blocking a book. But I have just not only $15 per book, but if you bundle, I have it $20 for 2. So just $5 more. I can do that because with my calendar business, I was buying 100,000 every year. So I thought, I can certainly sell 5,000 books. So my first book was Behind the Smile. I bought 5,000. That was $1 each. I still have, I think, 600 in my garage. But so I can afford to sell, because I just paid about a little over $1 per book. So I can afford to sell that very inexpensively. And this one is a hardback, and that was picked up by a New York publishing house. And that one 2 years ago won Best in the Nation for memoirs from Feathered Quill. It did not include celebrity and political memoirs. So again, they paid me $2,500, but I had to buy 1,000 books. So the books cost me $2.50. Again, I can afford to do a bundle because of these things. Now, I want you to see here, one book does not sell well, and that's this one. It's about growing up in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and my audience is always people over 50, 90% of the time. This one, sometimes I get children on, but I also sell many adults with the cat book. And I can't help but feel there's not a major image. It's just a nice scenery. It's a bridge in my town. But these all have a major image, like the cat, the lion, the dog, the airplane and stewardess, and the horse. That really attracts. So I'm just saying, giving it advice. I'm not going to redo the cover of that, but I should. It would sell more if I had a person in it or something, maybe a fisherman, something going on there. So that's just an idea. So everyone has these two pieces of paper. I hope everyone has, I printed it up. One is just your cheat sheet before you leave to go on to a festival, just to remind you things. And this is the protocols that the Festival Guild or Festival Facts Committee put together. So I'm just going to go over it real quickly, that the author who has signed up to go to an event, you should be paying the co-chair immediately. Don't wait months, immediately, because that co-chair has put out their own money to pay for the event. So do give them the money. Here's something I forgot. There's a chair that you need to bring. And all of this, the table, everything fits right into that container, so I can easily go. The co-chair will give out days of the event and also what hours per day. But if you do not want to do the whole thing, whatever, because some of them, like the one we did last weekend, the first day was 9 hours. That's a long day. But if you're with other members, you can share on the time, so you can go and get some ice cream, which we did off and on the whole time, or you can go to the bathroom or whatever if you're sharing. But at no time is it the co-chair's position to find you a substitute. If you only want to work 5 hours, that's fine, only work 5 hours. But don't ask the co-chair to find you another person to work the 4 hours. You can find that other person. That's your job as an author. The books, racks, chairs, whatever, my whole thing, needs to be brought to the festival either the day before, like at the one we do at Lenore City in almost a month's time. That will be set up a day before. The one that we're doing this weekend is only going to be set up an hour and a half before. But bring them before. You cannot be bringing things in when the festival begins. People are coming in, it's just way too crazy. Things have to be set up, you have to be relaxed and ready to sell. The allotted space, if I pay for 4 feet of space, then I want 4 feet of space. Ron and Nancy, they come as a group, but they each pay, so they would have 8 feet of space, so they're allotted that much more space. Tablecloths, I mentioned, should be long enough to cover the front. Authors must handle their own funds. In the past, we had one person who handled the funds for the whole group. Now we don't do that. Each author handles their own funds. You should get yourself a square if you haven't. That's really so easy to do. You'll sell more if people can give you a credit card. A lot of people do have the cash, but a lot do not want to. They want to be able to use their credit card. So, and practice before you get in. Don't go there and expect the other authors to help you set up your credit card. You do it ahead of time and then practice. Oh, this is one thing that I do. When someone's going by and they glance at my books or whatever, I'll say something to the effect of, "Are you enjoying the fair?" What I never say is, "How are you doing?" I don't care how they're doing. They don't want to tell me how they're doing. I did actually have a woman at the last show we were at. She must have been very lonely. She came over to me at the end of the show and spent a good 15 to 20 minutes telling me how she felt. I didn't want to hear how she felt. And there was a huge band going. I couldn't even hear her anyway, but I just kept nodding my head. But she was lonely, so I don't ask how people are feeling. But after I get them to kind of look a little bit more, I mention, I'm the author of these books, and Nancy and Ron are the authors of these books. It's amazing. Almost everyone that comes by thinks we're just selling books. They don't realize we're the authors. Then they'll go, oh, you're the author, and then they'll come up to you, and then they're very interested. So once they're interested, I'll hand them a book, and I'll say, well, this one is about growing up in the 40s and 50s. And if they're even younger, I'll add 60s. And then I said, read some of these things once, and then hand them the book. Then once they have that book in their hand, it's very hard for them to give the book back to you. That's like saying no, and they don't want to do that. So they really, handing them the book is the number one thing. And I learned that. Remember the couple that were here and the boy found the baby in the field? They taught me that. So I'm going to these shows, I'm learning from other people. And so I'm hoping you can learn from what I've learned. So that's what they used to do. They used to always hand the book, and yes, it was true. No one wanted to hand back the book. Oh, authors should be dressed professionally. And so this is typical of an outfit that I would wear. And also, I like to wear bright colors so that I stand out a little bit. And the same thing with my books. I like them to stand out. I don't want them to just be a blob in the background. Authors are to be respectful at all times, never interrupting another author. I had that happen a couple of years ago. I was talking to a customer, and an author came over and said, here, look at my book. And I was just shocked. So after the customer left who did not buy either one of our books, I told her that when I'm talking to a customer, don't interrupt. And when I'm through, I will pass them on to you, which is what I do. And Ron and Nancy and we worked as a very good coordinating team last weekend. When I would talk to them after they finished either buying from me or not buying from me, I would put them right on to Nancy and Ron, and the same thing, they would put them on to me. And that's the way we want to do it. We want to work as a team. Only authors are allowed to sit at the front tables. We'll have family members or guests come, and they'll walk around the event, then they get tired, so they want to come and sit. That's fine. They can come and sit, but don't have them sit at the front table. This is where we are working, where we're trying to sell books. They can sit in the back, but in reality, we really don't want them in the booth at all. We're really working, and so we're trying to pay attention with all of that. But that's just my suggestion. Authors, you know how we all read each other's books and then we write reviews? Well, there's another reason for reading each other's books. When you're at a festival, if they leave, or if you want to, like with Cheryl and I always, and Cheryl writes mystery books. Well, you want to pass the customer on to the next author. So if you know something about their books, then you can do that. So that's another reason for reading each other's books. Oh, and bags. This is what the Authors Guild gives out. So when you're selling, have this the back of your book. So when they're walking around the fair, they're going like this, and they're advertising your book. Or if they even turn it this way, they're advertising the Authors Guild. So that's just a suggestion. Now, I buy my own because when I did this years ago, it was before the authors did. So I bought 1,000, typical. I'm thinking I'm going to sell 1,000, so I have quite a few. I do it this way, so either way they have it, they're showing one of my books. So that's just another suggestion. Then I have self-marketing is not for the faint of heart, which is definitely true. Statistically, you receive 8 no's for every 1 yes. So don't take it personally. Just pass them on to the next author. They'll maybe make a sale. And then also, what I have seen constantly is not just, I'm not talking about authors, I'm talking about other vendors, sitting down and they're looking at their cell phone. They're not looking at customers, they're just playing games or whatever on their cell phone. Do you think they'd make many sales? Now, if you do have to get on your cell phone, at least stand so that if a person comes by, you can see them and put the cell phone down and engage. But just don't sit down and look at your cell phone. Oh, practice your short pitch. This I have for all my books. I have maybe a couple sentences that I use. That's it, per book. And again, when I'm talking to them, I'm handing them a book or saying something. They'll indicate to you which field that they're interested in. And so you go with that. I have a lot of people looking at this book thinking it's a children's book. And no, it is not a children's book. As a matter of fact, a taxi cab driver attempted to rape me in Iran. So no, it's not a children's book. So, but you can talk about each book, but you don't want a lot, just a few words, just to engage them. Oh, these things that I have, they're great handouts, and again, they're advertising things. I had these made at Vistaprint, and you can have not too many, you can have 20 done. Again, with my optimism, I had 1,000 done behind this one. It was my first book. I've already gone through that first 1,000.
Wow.
So, but now I don't. Now I do like 50 or 100 of them. Oh, and another thing from Vistaprint is this. These cost $10. And they fold up, and they come in a little tiny case. So that's easy to bring, and they'll fit all different size books. You can make, and they cost $10. And then also Vistaprint, I am really being a salesperson for them. They have wonderful sales, sometimes 50% off. So for example, this cover here cost me, I think, around $20-something. That normally would have been around $40. So they're good eye catchers. Know your customer. Now this is on my airline book. If I'm talking to a man, I'll talk about the Vietnam War or the 6-Day War in Egypt. But if I'm talking to a woman, I'll talk about how hard it was to become a flight attendant and the statistics of you couldn't be married and you had to quit when you were 35 and those types of statistics. So that's right, you talk about the book according to your audience. Oh, and I'll tell you, this is my last one. This is just to give you an idea. I sign my books ahead of time, so they're done. So all I have to do, if they want it personally signed to them, see how my books are all signed ahead of time? That saves my having to do it. Sometimes you're really swamped with people, which we were that first day at the Dogwood. That saves, a few seconds, and so all you have to now do is put in their name and whatever you want. But do ask to spell their name. People are spelling their names so differently now. Judy is no longer Judy, it can be I or IE or whatever. So make sure you ask. And I learned the hard way. There was a Russian gal, and I thought I could spell her name, which was crazy. Of course I couldn't. So the book was useless. She didn't want it. I couldn't sell it. So I learned from that. So I'm just telling you, ask people to spell their name. So that's it. I hope you'll sell us. And just to let you know, we did great last weekend. And so next year, the Dogwood Arts, I've asked for 2 booths. And I asked for them not to be together, to be under the awning so we don't have to set up a tent. And so you just have to walk in, and you do have to bring in your table. But otherwise, that's it. So anyway, thank you, everyone.